Lexie. Babe.
What?
The house is looking rather...
The house is looking rather...
It's looking rather messy to me.
Congratulations on your powers of observation.
It's just a question. And you seem angry.
Again, good job on noticing.
Babe, it's just an honest question. I know you've been working so hard the whole day. Probably this is just one of those slow days.
Indeed, a slow day. I love how you see things. You're right about one thing though. I work hard. But then you happen.
I don't understand.
Do you know why I'm angry? Do you know why the house is the way it is? It's your fault.
How is that my fault?
It's...
I mean, I've just come home from work and I found the house the way it is. And you seem to be angry. How is that my fault?
It's your fault because you treat your son as if he can do no wrong. You don't support me when I'm disciplining him. In fact, you let him get away with murder. And so, when I'm left with him, what do you think he does? Does he listen? He does what he wants, when he wants, because he knows his father will come and cuddle him.
Babe, he's just a child.
Oh, please stop it with that. He's just a child's speech. Ever heard of spare the rod, spoil the child? Yeah. Thanks to your lack of support in disciplining him, we're now raising a little terror.
Come on.
No. Today I'm not in the mood, William. I love you, and I love our son. But if we don't teach him the right ways, who knows what is going to happen to him when he grows older?
The boy is young. He will learn along the way.
Oh. How? How is he going to learn when we're not even agreed on what he needs to learn? Look, William, you can't keep letting him have his way all the time.
That small precious thing, what wrong could he do?
What happened to your powers of observation? You see all this? All this is just but a drop in the ocean of what your son is capable of doing.
So what do we do? I think I now know better.
Maybe I also overreacted. Just a tiny bit. This tiny.
If that was tiny, I don't want to be around you when you really overreact.
Wekwenda. But anyway, if God blesses us with children,
ile kiboko itatembea kwa hii nyumba. Hawatatambua. Wacha tu.
But don't overdo it. With love. The point is to mold a disciple.
I see. You've already finished reading the book, eh? The Case for Parental Discipline. But I think it has really changed my perceptions, by the way.
Spare the rod?
You spoil the child.
Meet our guest couple this week, Philbert Julai, a marketer, a parenting coach, and an author of Molding a Disciple. Christabel Julai, a human resource practitioner and a parenting coach. Philbert and Christabel have been married for the last 10 years and are blessed with 4 children. Today we are looking at a topic that most of us don't want to talk about, but we are going to tackle it right here on #ForBetterForUs. We are looking at a topic we are calling Spare the Rod. And basically what we are talking about is disciplining your children or training them to become what you want them to be. The Bible talks about disciplining children. And there's this saying that we all have where we spoke about spare the rod and spoil the child. What does that even mean?
So I'll take you back to the scripture.
Yes.
Which says that folly is bound up in the heart of a child, but a rod of discipline takes it out.
Yeah.
Then when you read Hebrews chapter 11, 12, chapter 12 verse 11,
11, yes.
It says discipline
It's not pleasant.
is not pleasant. At the time it is being implemented,
Yes.
but later on it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it.
Yeah.
Then when you continue to read the scripture, it says, if you do not use the rod, you hate your child. Then it also continues to talk about our relationship with the God in heaven as human beings. God disciplines us because he loves us.
Yeah.
And in a similar way, as parents, we should discipline our children because we love them. And so that sort of should give you an idea around the subject of disciplining your child.
Yes.
And when you read the scripture, King Solomon is referencing a rod. When you go back to the history of the Jews, that rod that is referenced in that scripture is referring to a staff, which was used by the shepherds. Number one, it was used by the shepherd when they are tired, they would lean on it. And then so it was for support.
Yes.
And then number two, it was used by the shepherds to direct the sheep.
The sheep, yeah.
And in this case, King Solomon uses the rod to reference that as parents, we need to use the rod to direct or to help our children.
Yeah.
So in this case, when we're talking about discipline or using the rod, it is actually to help the child to come back to the right direction that they should be going.
All right.
Yep.
And then what does that entail when we're talking about using this rod
Yes.
to direct? What is it about?
It is using the rod.
Uh-huh.
You actually use the rod.
Okay.
You use a kiboko to help your child to be disciplined.
Yes.
And I want to be very careful because I know this is a very sensitive
It's
and
very-
emotive
yes.
topic.
Exactly.
Very emotive.
Yeah.
And in the era of rights.
Bas. Children also have
Children
rights.
rights, yeah. In the era of children rights,
Yeah.
I would want to be very careful with what I say.
Yes.
I think the problem is not the road. I think the problem is the users of the road.
All right.
And I'll use an analogy that one of my mentors, Dr. Mukolle, has used many times.
Yes.
And he gives this analogy. He says, a gun in the hands of a police gives us security.
Yeah.
You basically love it
Yes.
when you see a police officer with a gun because you know why?
I'm safe.
I'm safe. Anything happens here, I'm very safe. The same gun in the hands of a criminal is a dangerous weapon
Exactly.
because it's going to cause robbery with violence. It's going to cause harm to innocent people. It's going to cause havoc.
Yes.
And therefore, it is the same principle. The rod in the hands of a loving, caring parent is a tool that is going to empower a child to live their fullest potential because it will help that parent to drive foolishness out of that child.
Yeah.
But the same rod in the hands of a reckless parent is going to be a platform for abuse.
All right.
And therefore, the parent here is the litmus.
Okay.
It could be the source of the problem.
Yeah.
If that rod is misused, it is going to be a source of exploitation for the child. And that is not going to be right.
Okay.
And therefore, the discipline that the Bible references is in actually helping your child. And the approach that I take is about training.
Okay.
Okay? And I'll give you specific examples on instances where, as a person, I use a rod in disciplining my children. And I'll give you an example. An example in utter disobedience, I use a rod to discipline my children. So, first of all, you must train your child, not once, not twice, not thrice, repeatedly, to a point where you think, I know this child has gotten this concept before you start to use the rod.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that then the initial place to begin is not the rod.
It's not the rod.
It's the training.
It's the training.
Okay.
Yes. And the ultimate success of discipline, and I am using the word discipline here very intentionally, is not the punishment, is not the use of the punishment. I'm using discipline as a process to refer to the process of training your child to do certain things in a specific way.
Okay.
I'll give you good reference. So when you talk about our police officer, our military, what do we call them? We call them disciplined forces.
Yes.
When we talk about sports, we call that we talk about a discipline.
Yes.
A discipline of football, a discipline of running, a discipline. Why do we use the word discipline? It's because the specific participants have been trained in a specific way to do certain things consistently, such that they have been able to perfect that form of expression of certain things.
All right.
That is what you want to achieve with your child. First of all, so let's talk about simple chores in the house. You cannot punish your child because they are not doing chores. You need to train them to do chores. First of all, do the chores as they observe as a parent, then begin to involve them, then begin to involve them again, and then you begin now to let them go. Delegate, tell them now, do it, let me supervise you. Do it repeatedly with them, and then now tell them now you are supposed to be doing this. And then you agree with your child. If this doesn't happen, this would be the consequence. And it is not misuse of authority as a parent. No. It's actually to help the child to understand that's how the world operates. And I will give you a very good example. When you overspeed and you get a speed ticket on the road, the police will not have mercy on you. They will deal with you according to the law. If you misbehaved and took something from a supermarket, there was a case of a gentleman the other day who stole a Bible from Naivas supermarket, and now he's being asked to pay 10 times because that is what the policy of the supermarket says. I mean, those things will have dire consequences on the child. You want to prepare the child to know that when I am not disciplined in specific areas in my life, there are actually consequences. And when they are young, the items are small. It's in the sweep the house at this particular, wake up, make your bed. It's those small things. But the principle behind it is not necessarily about the chore, but it's about building the discipline of the child.
All right. I want to bring Woody into this conversation. You're very passionate about man. I can see the passion here. But Woody, this training, how early should this training that Julai, your husband, is talking about begin?
Okay. This training begins as soon as they come.
They pop out, you begin to train.
To train. And it's true in that sense because as soon as they are born, it begins with nursing the baby. You begin by having a particular schedule. Naturally, they also come in a certain form of that sort of discipline. So they feed at certain hours after every 2 hours. Now, when they begin to go, you start feeding them in a certain way, changing their diaper in a certain way, and then now when they start kicking their feet. So you train them again. So it's just bringing them back to this is the format and the process that you need to be going through. So maybe as early as also 6 months when they begin to eat.
All right.
Okay, so I'm assuming at 6 months the child is sitting.
Yeah.
So you begin to train them. So you can choose to train them to be sitting on a high chair, so that they know and associate that particular training or discipline you're trying to create to them with that process
Activity,
that you're trying to,
yeah.
or activity. So if it's feeding time, they know I need to be seated
still
on a high chair and I'm eating. If it's diaper changing time, you have a particular place that you also take them to do the change. So they know if I'm in this environment and this position, this is what is happening. So then it's changing time. So as they continue to grow, so they become infants now, and then now they become toddlers. So if it's playing with their toys, allow them to play the toys to help them with their creativity in their mind. But after that, teach them, you need to tidy up. So tidy up means remove them from here and have a particular place where it is. So usually we say between, let's say toddler to maybe around 9 years, you're mainly teaching about order.
Okay.
Then beyond that, it begins to become a character issue.
All right.
So you start beginning to discipline about, like you're saying, fortitude, virtues, manners. When you're sitting on the table, how do you sit? How do you present yourself? Going to church. When you go to church, what are the disciplines? Yes. What do you do? How do you carry yourself around? Do you pick lessons? When you go to school, preparing for school also, what are these activities that happen before? How do you do time management? Because you find all these things that begin at a very early stage, if you extrapolate it, it begins to bring issues in your adulthood if it was not well mannered.
All right.
Yeah, so as early as they come.
Okay.
You start.
And now, coming to you touched on it, you begin to touch on it.
Yes.
What tools then do you use as you're offering this training?
So there are many books available on training. There's a model that talks about developmental stages and what is important for each of the developmental stages. So I'll give you an example of infancy between 0 and 1. For instance, that at that age, the outcome that you'll be looking for is trust and mistrust. Your child doesn't know the world. Okay? They've just come from a place where they just used to roll, food used to pass through their spine. You know, and they've come to a place where they'll feel cold, they'll scream. You are the one who is supposed to respond. They will feel hungry, they will scream. You are the one who is supposed to. If you do not respond when they are giving you an alarm, you begin to make them not trust the world, and it can even lead to them not trusting the caretaker, who would be the parent. So at that point, you need to understand what is it that is happening in this developmental stage of my child and what it is I can do. So that continues to graduate. 3 to 6, they'll begin to look for autonomy. Because when you're changing their clothes, they'll start to remove your hand and tell you, allow me to do it myself. When you're brushing their teeth, they say, no, I want to brush myself. When you're feeding them, the same. When they are putting their shoelaces, the same. Don't kill that autonomy, that ability of that is growing for the child to begin to get that autonomy. Instead, nurture it, help them. So you need more patience as a caretaker at that point, as a parent, to support this child to be able to change. You know, sometimes they will wear chikoleko, you know, the shoes. The one on the left is the one on the right.
It's just correcting.
Yes. So you tell them you've done very well, but this one is for the right leg and this one is for the left leg. And so you encourage that autonomy because it's something that is it's part of the developmental stage. So understanding those developmental stages is important. There is a lot of information on the internet. There are so many books. Even me, I've written a book
on the same.
On the same. And there are many tools available out there that can help you to understand at what stage is my child in, what are some of the disciplines or character items that I can focus on to help this child. Even from a chores perspective, for example, what chores do I give at what age?
Yes.
It's very important.
Right.
And I'll ask a very fundamental question for the parents who are watching. For example, at what age should your child be taking a matatu to town? It is your responsibility. It is your responsibility.
Yeah.
That child needs to be taught and needs to be taught by you as the parent. You could be driving a car, good for you, but you never know whether the child will have a car
of their
when
own,
they need to go to town
Yes.
and you are not available. How will they get there?
Yes.
So those are some of the things, and those are as part of discipline, because when we look at discipline, we look at three things. Discipline helps your child to develop character, submission to authority, very important. It helps your child to have self-control, and then it also helps your child to have life skills.
Yes.
And when we talk about life skills now, those are things that would help your child to be street smart, to deal with difficult circumstances. There are certain things that you need to help as you train your child to grow.
Okay.
Maybe I can,
Yes, go ahead.
Maybe I can just add, part of that disciplining and training, you must have a goal.
Yep.
Yeah. What are these goals that you're working towards? So that you know you keep on tracking. As you say, discipline forces or athletes or sports people, personalities. They have a certain goal that you achieve at different milestones. You know, it doesn't come at once. It comes with a lot of practice. It comes with a lot of repetition and consistency. Yeah. So have that goal.
Yeah.
What are you training your children? What is this outcome that you want to see? So if you want this outcome, now imagine at age 2 years, age 3 years, age 4, what does it look like at that age?
Yeah.
Then slowly, as you continue to grow in the milestones, then you'll reach your goal. So I would say add that.
You mentioned consistency. How crucial is that when you're doing this training?
Ooh. I think that is one of the most important things that you cannot let go as a parent.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that's where most of us as parents
fail. Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. If you're training your child swimming, they are young, they are 3 years, and then you take them for 2 classes, then you stay for 4 months, and then you take them back. You start from A. Because they'll have forgotten everything that they learned 6 months ago. But if you want them to perfect that skill, you have to dedicate time every weekend to do it over and over and over and over. Let them, who is the writer of this book who talks about 10,000 hours? Malcolm Gladwell.
Yes.
On the writer of Outliers as well.
Yes.
He says that for you to become perfect in anything, you need to clock 10,000 hours. So you need to consistently practice something over and over again. And it's the same, even with the instructions.
Yeah.
You want your child to develop a certain character. You need to be consistent. And you need to be consistent, both of you.
Okay.
Not like one parent is doing it and the other
allows.
parent is allowing it.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, that is going to be counterproductive.
Okay.
And therefore, you need to align all your stakeholders. And this would be your spouse, it will be your teachers, it will be your in-laws. When your child, and I'll give you a simple example. So one of the rules, for example, for our children is no jumping on furniture.
Okay.
Because number one, it's dangerous, and number two, it can actually break the chair, which will require finances to be fixed.
To replace.
And those finances can be going towards buying their food.
Yeah.
So something that we can avoid. So we say no jumping on furniture. If you need to jump, you go outside and jump.
Yeah.
Now, if that is being implemented at home, but when they go to their grandparents, they jump on chair. They encourage them. You should be jumping here.
Enjoy jumping.
Yes, enjoy.
Play.
Yeah, play. I like seeing you jumping on the
Can I see you jump?
Can I see you go and jump on that mattress? Go and jump on the bed.
Yeah.
They are actually undoing something that you are. And so that alignment to say, Mom, I'm actually training my children not to jump on furniture because of ABCD. Could you support me whenever they come to visit?
Oh, please.
please just help me to enforce that.
Yes.
Consistently hearing that same message, you know, across. When they go that side, they are being brought back. Yes. When they go that side, they're being brought back. Yeah. That really helps to reinforce the behavior that you want to see.
All right. And I think, just to add on to what he's saying, that sort of consistency, because children are very sharp. They also pick, here I can bend rules. When I go home, straight and narrow. You know, they begin to know how to play that. And again, now you're training, because training, again, they say, whether you do something about it or not, they are still
in action is training.
So you see, like maybe when they're younger, you start with small things like jumping on furniture. For example, for us is lollipops and sweets. They should not be eating lollipops and sweets. That is when they're small. At all.
We discourage that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if they come and I buy them, they will say no, or
they
that
should.
means
they should.
Okay.
They should say no.
They should say no.
Okay.
They only get it on certain times that they know we allow them or we reward them. So at younger ages, it's small things.
And it doesn't make sense for them now. But we're protecting their dental formula. We don't want them to be old and they have
cavities
and then they say, my parents were reckless. That's why I'm here. And so, you know, we just need to have it regulated. It's not to say that they don't eat lollipops. They do eat lollipops. But it's regulated to just ensure that it's something that doesn't affect their dental.
And the control here is for them to, again, go back to the goal. It's for them to be able to say no, even when they know they're not supposed to. So now it's a sweet. Do they have the threshold, the self-control to actually like go to the grandma and grandma is busy buying a whole packet for them? Are they able to say no? Or are they able to say, hey, wait a minute, our parents said we shouldn't eat. Should we ask for permission
from our parents?
When they're young, it's small things, as I'm saying. Now, when they grow older, it's bigger things. You know, as a teenager, it's now maybe their phone. They're hanging out on their phone the whole time. They're locking themselves in the room. And the rule at our home is don't lock yourself in the room with the phone. If you're using your phone, it should be in public spaces, which is in the living room.
In the living room.
You know, because the damage that it can cause is immense. So think about it with the small things. You can begin to train them now. Then as they grow older, they have...
How does it translate?
To bigger things. Now let's talk about reinforcing. You mentioned that as you are explaining the consistency. How then do you reinforce, and especially when you're talking about inflicting pain, to reinforce the training that you've been... What point do you introduce, and how do you go about introducing this?
Okay. So I mentioned that first of all, you have to train.
Yes.
And then you have to repeat. So repeat. Would recommend that you repeat at least 3 to 4 times after you have trained, and you are very sure the child has gotten the rhythm,
the
concept. And then after that you train. Then after that you observe the child do the routine,
or the routine,
for some time, and then after that you then agree if you make it part of their life, you know. And I'll give you an example: making the bed. So you are the parent. You tell them, I want you to see daddy making your bed. You stretch the bed. They watch you, and you see. This is how your bed should be made. Tomorrow you tell them, okay, today I want you to join daddy to make your bed. You spend time with them, and they stretch the blanket here, and you show them here, this one has a crease, this is how you do it, you know, you tuck it nicely. You do it again with them like 3 or 4 times. Then you tell them, today, Dad wants you to see how you're going to make the bed. Then they stretch the bed, and you watch them. Of course, the first time it will have creases, you know, and you can leave it that way. Because if you begin to correct, you can also begin to discourage, and they begin to lose the confidence. So you can leave it that way, and maybe when they move out of the room, you just stretch it. It's all psychological. Then you observe them do it first time, second time, and then you begin to tell them, you know what, you can be able to stretch it better. You know, this is how you do it. until you feel like they have gotten the rhythm.
Okay.
When they have gotten the rhythm, now you tell them, now when you wake up in the morning, you make your bed. You make your bed when you wake up in the morning. Not when you come from school. When you wake up in the morning. Okay, then you begin to encourage them to form that discipline and reinforce. So in reinforcing, number one, before you start using boko, you can reward.
All right.
Okay. So you say, for instance, so for example, in our case, what we do, we have a tabulation, and we've written the discipline, the certain chores that we want them to do, and we reward, we reinforce positive behavior.
Okay.
So for example, Monday bed was made well, Tuesday like that. So if they complete the whole thing until the end of the week, then we give them an incentive. So we say, for example, for the whole week, if the bed was made well, we'll give you 50 shillings. Okay.
Right.
And they are very excited about that.
Lollipop now.
Or that lollipop.
Yeah.
And the reason why we introduced money is also because we are trying to train them on the finances. On finances.
All right.
And so we don't give pocket money. No.
Or that you don't do
we
that.
Don't do that.
All right.
And you earn it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And so those positive things. So reading a book, we tell them, if you read a book, in fact, the price for the book is higher. It's 100 bob.
All right.
If you read a book and finish within a week, you get 100 shillings. And so they are motivated.
They want to read.
They want to read and finish so that they can earn that 100 shillings.
Yes.
And so that is one way of reinforcing. What happens if it is not happening?
Yeah.
Then you begin to agree on consequences.
Okay.
All right.
So even the consequences, you also agree.
Yes.
The same way you agreed on the rewards.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
You agree on consequences. If you don't make your bed, what happens? This is what will happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Then there are times when you say, go and make your bed because the one forgot.
Yes.
And then if the bed is not made
after you'd said,
after you have said it,
yes,
then that is utter disobedience.
Okay.
Now, in such a case, you use a rod.
Kiboko.
Yes.
All right.
Because now you are correcting
yes,
an unbecoming behavior. You're not using the rod because the baby didn't make the bed.
No.
No.
Because
it's because they disobeyed.
Yes. Okay.
The instruction was go and make your bed.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not a sin
not to make
the bed.
Yeah.
However, there's a thing that is cropping, which is called disobedience.
Yes.
Where you have been given an instruction and you're not executing it.
Yeah.
Now that is a problem.
Okay.
That one we need to address because if you just watch your training. Remember we said
yes, it's training.
Doing something or not doing something
is still training.
So in such a case, then you use the rod.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and I think also the training here also is one is listening to instruction. Again, you train them. What does it mean to listen or follow instruction? In fact, it's follow instruction on first call.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what does it mean? One, you need to pay attention to the person who's giving you.
So you get the instruction.
Yes. Pay attention to the person who's giving the instruction. Listen to them carefully. If you've not understood,
you ask
for clarification, and then you go immediately
and do
the action.
So when many times when you're giving the instruction, you need to come to their level.
Okay.
Makori, yes. Daddy wants you to go and make your bed. Okay? Yes. You go and make your bed that time. Because the training that we are giving them is when you're given an instruction, you do it immediately. The reason for that is because children are very forgetful. Number one. And then number two, you also want them to have the discipline of doing things immediately.
Okay.
Rather than procrastinating.
Okay.
Because if you leave them to procrastinate, you're actually developing that procrastination discipline.
Okay. Okay.
As a discipline for them as they grow up.
Yeah.
And if you now extrapolate and bring it into adulthood, it will translate into their workplace.
Yeah.
When they are given an assignment by their manager,
deadlines.
you know, they don't care about deadlines. They just keep pushing deadlines, and that could be detrimental to their future.
Yeah.
And so you want them to learn that it is important for you to execute instructions
Immediately.
and do it immediately.
All right.
Yeah.
And I think maybe what I can also add, Makori, into this conversation is, as much as you're doing this disciplining and training, again, you're not looking for perfectionism. No. It's not about them being perfect.
No.
It's just about them learning.
Learning the discipline.
That sort of discipline.
All right.
Yes.
And you need to exercise restraint.
Okay.
As a parent, you need to also exercise wisdom. There are certain circumstances. So, for example, you might have given an instruction and you expect it to be executed immediately, but your child was in the middle of doing something else that was given an instruction by your wife. Yeah, you need to exercise a restraint and understand, because and the children will express themselves. They'll tell you, by the way, I haven't done this because mom had asked me to do this. So in such a case, you can't go disciplining the child
immediately.
Exactly. You also need to listen. You need to understand, what's going on in this space. Why is it not happening?
All right.
You understand? But when you notice that it is a seed of disobedience,
all right,
then you really need to nip it.
Okay. And so what I'm hearing now is that when you're training and giving instruction, is you're not giving kiboko necessarily because they did not do the activity.
The activity, no.
But it is because they disobeyed the instruction.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So the connection of the kiboko is kiboko and obedience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there, yes.
It's not kiboko and the activity.
No.
Yeah.
It's kiboko.
And
I got
disobedience.
Kiboko because I disobeyed.
Okay.
And why? Same way, go back to biblical, to the scripture.
Yes.
God also, he gives us instructions from his word. And we are called to obey his word. And if we don't obey, then again there's
there are consequences
to that.
So that's what you're trying to train.
Okay.
So if he can listen, if the child can listen and obey the caregiver, and here is the father and mother, and I'll use father because the Bible says, obey your father. If he cannot obey the father he's seeing,
how about
the father?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about this whole training as a couple and disciplining and giving kiboko.
Yeah.
How do you now discuss and agree in terms of who's going to do what?
Yes.
When it comes to this maneno of training and this maneno of giving kiboko.
Yes.
Yes.
So there's a good cop, bad cop concept there.
Yes.
Which plays out in many families. Where you realize that one of the parents is stronger in reinforcing discipline than the other parent. I think you just need to agree based on your observation between the two of you and your different strengths. You need to complement one another. You can't force your wife to be the person using the kiboko if they are totally weak
on that area.
However, the principle of the fact that if this is a disobedience, it needs to be punished, needs to cut across.
It's across.
Okay? But on who uses the kiboko, if she can absolutely not use one, then you can agree and say, you know this is disobedience, right? You tell the child this is disobedience, and when daddy comes,
we'll give you.
We are going to talk to daddy, and daddy will give you a kiboko.
Yes.
So if that is the scenario that plays out in your house, so be it. But I think with us, we have grown with time, baby. We both
yes.
I think that's also another sensitive area to talk about. But generally, before you just begin to discipline the student in the kiboko, you need to have a meeting as parents.
Yes.
Draw yourselves, have this boardroom meeting.
Your family committee.
Yes, this committee. Discuss and agree. Now, God has blessed us with these children. What next? How do you go about it? What is the goal? Then how do you go about it? Because, again, as you said, the concentration span of kids and their forgetfulness is this small. So sometimes the discipline needs to happen there and then. You see, if you remind the child that
you remember your
morning.
dad.
In the morning,
you remember.
Daddy is coming at 9 o'clock. They can't
yes.
even remember
what did I do?
It has to happen sort of at that time. So if you're the weaker one, you need to begin to learn
and grow.
And grow. and now use that rod as it should be used.
Yeah.
Because they'll forget, depending on the age again. That's one. Another way is also there's a sense of wanting to introduce an escalation matrix. Like this one is bigger than we can't just deal with it here. Now we need to escalate it and say, now let's call daddy into this picture. Both of us need to have a discussion. You know, we sit you in a room and we discuss
together.
And then if it's both kiboko, you can agree. Sometimes as we've had instances where papa gets to get his 2 and then mom gets to add her 2 just to increase that sense of man what
you are together and
it is
unacceptable.
This is completely unacceptable and actually we are together. Another way also, again, as I say, children are very sharp, so they can also play the two of you,
can manipulate
you if you don't agree. So they know if I ask daddy will give me, so maybe it's money or whatever it is. So let's say money, for example. Oh, daddy, please give me 50 shillings. I need this and this. Then daddy gives. Then they come to me. Oh, mommy, give me 50 shillings. So because we didn't speak,
mommy also gives.
So they
50.
end up with 100. You know?
Yeah.
It could be anything anyway. Kids can do that. So to avoid that, for us, we always tell them, by the way, we are one.
Yes.
So we also agree amongst us, whatever you do to the children or discuss, inform me. And vice versa, I'll inform you. This is what we discussed today. This is what we agreed.
Today we discipline because of ABCD.
Yes.
And if it's something that you want to reinforce, that's another way again of positive reinforcement.
Correct.
You say, so and so, yes, mom disciplined you today. What was the reason for the discipline? It was because of ABCD. You know daddy doesn't like that. So you're reinforcing the positive behavior she had
instructed at that point.
Yes.
So now, in the same line of the escalation matrix, that's okay because you've discussed and you know that at this point, this one it's grief. We have to deal with it together as father and mother. But then there's this scenario where me as a mother have been trying to discipline this child, but it is not working. So what I am telling the child, I'm going to tell you to daddy. So they know that with mommy we can push the limits, but when it comes to daddy, these limits we can't push them any further. Is there a detriment to that kind of thinking?
Yes. Absolutely. Do you want to comment, babe?
Yeah, I'd probably say yes and no in this sense. Speaking now as a mother and as a woman, I think I'd go and say there's a king in this house.
Okay.
There are things maybe they're beyond
me as a mother.
Why? I'm equally modeling to them. I'm submitting to
an authority
who is my husband. I need to submit to him. So I don't think it's to show that I'm weak. Is to just show the position of
the dad in the home.
Yes, and is the position of the father who is now the king in this jungle. So therefore, that sort of escalation is because I'm not escalating things that I know are within my control. Again, I have to be sober enough. I'm escalating things that I feel, okay, now this one, I want even this child to also see, hey,
even the father does not approve
there's a respect that we give
of this.
This
the
man
head
of the house.
the head of this house.
Okay.
And tomorrow, like for example, I have sons. He will be the head. He'll expect the same from
the wife.
And now even the children.
All right.
So I don't think it's weak. Because if you do it in the right way, then it's a powerful thing.
So what is this right way? Because sometimes then what happens is this child knows that there are things that I will do for as long as dad is not around, I'll get away with it. And then it has to wait until daddy comes
back
for this to be disciplined or to be dealt with.
No.
Yeah, so what is the right way?
Okay.
Yes.
So it's not waiting for the man to come. So sometimes the man is in the house, but you see when she's disciplining, I don't get in. I don't just show up. And,
and
you know that also can also be detrimental to the child, even mentally.
Yeah.
When they're being disciplined by
then
one
you come
parent,
and say, ati
you
amefanya
are-
nini? Hebu leta nipatie kiboko, ongezea yangu hapo.
ongezea yangu hapo. No. You avoid such.
Yes.
if your wife is dealing with something, let her deal with it.
Okay.
You understand? But there are certain things you'll be like, no. This one, you are
Kuja usikie hii
Come
maneno.
usikie hii maneno. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's in such a scenario.
Okay.
In a case where where the father is not around, she needs to discipline because of the completion of the process. Okay? But but still insist when your dad comes, we need to discuss this. Because I think it's important for him to know. So that in that case, then you see it's a conversation that you'll be having, but discipline has already been.
I think I remember instances where we've actually had to call him.
Yeah.
You can actually, that is a phone call away.
Yeah.
So we've had instances where we've called him and we say, hey, we are dealing with this and this, and this is what has happened. So like, I think at that time he had also traveled, and he would still speak through the phone and say, hey, call out the child and say, okay, fine, what did we agree on this? What is the rule on this and this? Therefore, this should be executed because of the disobedience.
Yeah.
So even a call, sometimes it's the how, so necessarily him being physically there. It's just creative ways on how do you deal and still, as you say, complete the discipline process.
Yeah. And one of the things that we advocate for is the use of the rod is not the end of the journey.
Okay.
You use the rod
as a means.
It's because it's discouraging that negative behavior that is or correcting that negative behavior.
Yes.
Then after that you need to have a conversation.
Okay.
Why was the rod used?
All right.
The rod was used because of this. What was the agreement before? Because remember we said we trained and then we agree. Then the child will play it back to you, by the way. And sometimes you'll be shocked. They're actually pushing your limits. They know for sure
that this is wrong.
They know without doubt. And that is where the aspect of consistency is so critical. Because if you lose being consistent, this child will play games with you.
Yeah. All right.
And I think after that, as he's saying, the road is not the end.
Yeah.
Now, after the conversation, you now embrace
All right.
the child, you know.
And
Still-
reaffirm.
And
Yes,
reaffirm.
and reaffirm.
Yeah, you need to
So show
reaffirm.
that love.
Show them that I love
As
you.
much as daddy is doing
I am
mommy.
I am correcting this inappropriate
Yes.
behavior.
In love.
But you
Yes.
are my child
Yes.
and I absolutely love you.
Yeah. And the other thing I've also learned with time is separating the issue from the child.
From the child.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And how easy has that been?
that's what I'm saying, with time. It's not something that you start with.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
And it's still, you still have to grow it and develop it. We haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah.
But it's something that we have to keep on doing. So you don't say wewe ni mbaya or you're a bad child. Is
You have
your-
done
the
something.
behavior you're doing
Is not appropriate.
Yes.
Yes.
So
It
just
is this behavior that I don't agree
That I don't
with.
want.
Exactly.
You I love, this
Yes.
one I don't want.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
That's the separation that also again comes with discipline. And then the other thing I've also, just when I was sharing the way I remembered we have had conversations, is sometimes maybe the escalation also is not necessarily for him to do, to execute the discipline. It's maybe a point of prayer. Then you say, okay, fine, I can see child X is struggling with this. So I need to escalate this to the king. Then now let's pray about it.
Okay.
Then it becomes a prayer item.
And
And they see, even then they begin to see, it's not just about them. And sometimes they cannot do it within their own willpower.
There is a higher authority that we confer
Correct.
to.
Yeah.
and I want to draw us to an example in the Bible
Yes.
of how God deals with his children.
Yes.
Adam and Eve sin in the Garden of Eden. He calls them, talks to them. What have you done? And Eve says, it is this.
Adam says, "Is this woman?"
It is this woman.
Yes.
Eve says, it is this snake.
Yeah.
God sentences the snake,
Yes.
sentences the woman,
Yeah.
sentences Adam.
Yeah.
And he pushes them out
Yeah.
of the Garden of Eden. And from that time, life changes for us as human beings. It's the same thing. it's not to say God hated Adam and Eve.
Also, just before he sends them out,
Yes.
he slaughters an animal and covers
their shame,
yes,
their nakedness.
Yes.
And so it's also to show how we should deal. So, for example, if it's your child has done something that is very shameful, you need to cover their nakedness.
Yeah.
You need not expose them
Yeah.
because of this shameful thing that they have done. You need to deal with the issue. You need to ensure that they actually experience the consequences of the thing they have done.
Yeah.
However, you need also to cover their shame.
Their shame.
Yeah.
And I guess also what he's saying also, when you're using the road, in terms of also their shame, is you don't do it in public.
No.
Yeah. Call them out to a separate room,
Private room.
corner.
Yeah. Not when they can be mocked by their brothers, no.
And their friends.
Their friends.
You meet them in the playground. What did we say about jumping in furniture?
Yeah.
In front of the
No,
children.
And I
Yeah.
think the other thing I've also seen playing out as he's sharing about God, how he disciplined Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
He also called out Adam, or rather called them depending on the responsibility he gave
He
each.
gave
Yes.
them, yeah.
So he called Adam, you're the one I gave you the instructions.
Yes. What have you done?
What have you
Yes.
done? Yes.
What
Then
have
it's
you
like
done?
Adam was like, no,
Yes.
it's this one.
So he also calls out Adam in the sense that I gave you a higher responsibility. So you also find at home, there's this issue of corporal punishment.
Yeah.
There's that one, call out, you, I gave you this
Specific instruction.
instruction.
Yes.
So I'm calling you out because
Because
of
you,
ABCD.
yes.
Because the instruction
Because
was
I
given
instructed
to
you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and now we'll come to the issue of roles and in
Yes.
terms of who's supposed to do what
Yeah.
and what is expected of who as far as the parenting journey is concerned. But before we get into that, what happens then when couples do not agree on this issue? One is like, we need to give kiboko, and another is apana. It is go to your corner and stay there because you've disobeyed, and you don't seem to agree. What then?
You have to agree. Two people again cannot work together unless they agree. I think, Makori, that is such a fundamental truth
Okay.
in marriage more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because remember, you are raising souls.
Yes.
You are raising a human being who will impact eternity. You are raising an adult, someone who is going to get into the world and face real challenges. You cannot play double standards.
Yeah.
You have to come to a place of agreement that this is a huge responsibility we have on our shoulders. And we have to do what is absolutely necessary for us to help this person be prepared for the world out there. So for me, I think it's such a foundational thing for the two of you to be on the same
page.
The same
Because
page.
one, you can't leave it to chance.
Yes.
That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, unfortunately, the person who hurts is the child.
It's a child.
So Waswahili wanasema fahari wawili wakipigana
Nyasi wanaumia.
nyasi inaumia.
Ama asiyefunzwa na mamae hufunzwa na ulimwengu. You don't want that for your child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. And when it comes to now who's supposed to do what,
Yes.
how do we figure that this is my responsibility as far as parenting is concerned? Where is it joined? Where do you draw the line? And where do you, so that you're not clashing and you're working, as you said, fundamentally agreed?
The reason why I'm laughing is because when you choose to become a parent, you cannot choose to parent.
Okay.
You have no option
But you have to
but
parent.
to do it.
Yes.
And parenting includes discipline.
Yes.
Discipline is not an exemption.
Okay.
So the moment you make a decision that I'm going to get children, just get prepared to parent that child. And that is the biggest responsibility you have as a couple.
Yes.
Not as an individual. As a couple, jointly. Both of you have to parent this child, have to raise this child, have to discipline this child. So you can't say this is my wife's role
and this one is mine.
This is my role. No.
Yes.
The moment you choose, we are going to have children. Just know that you have signed up to disciplining your child, to training your child, to, instructing them with love. Yes.
Okay.
That's what I would
So
say.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usiseme ati
No.
baba ndiye anachapa,
No.
mama yeye achapa.
No good cop, bad
Yeah.
cop.
Yes.
ama mimi ni wale wa kupenda, mwingine wa kuchapa.
You know this good cop, bad cop thing?
Yes.
It actually plants a bad seed in the minds of the child. Because it begins to help the child to think this is a bad parent.
Okay.
This is the parent mwenye ananioneanga. Huyu this is the fun parent. Huyu mwingine is harsh. And you don't want that split in the mindset of a child.
Yeah. Okay, now, must both parents be present in a child's life for discipline to be effective?
No.
Okay.
Yes and no.
Yes and no, in the sense that there's a role of a father and there's a role of a mother.
Biblically.
We cannot assume and bury our heads in the sand to say that single parents cannot raise up disciplined children. Yeah. So there are those cases. However, as again we said, map your stakeholders.
Okay.
Map your stakeholders. Ensure that there's a male figure who can speak with authority in the life of your child and bring them into the mix early. If the father of the child is not involved. That is what we would recommend. Identify a male figure who can help you in the journey of nurturing your child to make sure that they have a male figure who also speaks to their life.
A male perspective into that raising.
Yes. Yeah. And vice versa. Okay. Because in some instances, the child is born and the child is just left to the father and the mother, you know. So in such cases, both ways.
All right.
Yeah.
And you spoke about mapping your stakeholder. What does that entail?
Okay.
Before we lose that
Maybe check that one.
Yeah.
All right. So again, a child is raised up in a community.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't live in an island. So stakeholders is anyone else around
a significant adult
within your
around the
could
child.
Be adults or even young, your friends.
Yes.
Your friends. Yeah. So, for example, if where you're living, you have your neighbors. First, you have your house help. That is the most key stakeholder, especially if that house help is sleeping in your house.
All right.
Okay. Or spending significant time
with the children.
Maybe they don't sleep in that house. So that is your stakeholder number one. So they need to also understand the values, the visions of that house. And then what, again, you agree in terms of what you're training and what you're disciplining, she needs to know. Yeah. She needs to be aware. This is what we're working on. This is what we are training. Therefore, if you see any behavior that is going off, please report
let us
to
know.
me.
Yeah. Okay.
Let us know.
Okay.
So that we we correct that behavior. Or maybe reinforce. Maybe it's a good thing. Okay? Because you found also some instances, again, kids are sharp. They negotiate with the house help.
They are very sharp.
They get their own way.
Yes.
Both of them. You know, you don't want that. So stakeholder number one is the house help. Stakeholder number two, again, where else are they spending their time with? Maybe if they're younger, they're spending their time with the kids within your neighborhood.
Yes.
So you need to know your neighbors, you know. Begin to speak to those children about the right behaviors. You discover so-and-so when they're spending time with so-and-so, they're just rogue, and now even your child begins to be rough. When they go to another place, maybe they're okay. Maybe it's your relatives. Maybe it's your like you had mentioned earlier. It's your in-laws. It's my mom or my parents,
your sister, your brother,
the parents. Yes, or our siblings, and they're spending time there. So again, those people are also our key stakeholders. In school, the teachers are their key stakeholders. In the bus, if it's a school bus that is
transport
taking them,
manager,
the transport person is also a key stakeholder. So
in Sunday school,
the
teacher.
Yes, Sunday school, the Sunday school teacher. So you need to map yourself intentionally to all the people who are sort of surrounding your child's environment. Yeah. And now it's important because when they're young, you know who they are.
Yeah.
When they grow older, you wouldn't know everyone else who's surrounding your child, or maybe you cannot reach them out. But now, when they're younger, when they're in that moldable phase, begin to map yourself with those people. So I can give you maybe 2 examples that we've done. So the one for the neighborhood, we call out all the parents who have children in the same estate, and we begin to have these conversations, or we can begin to see these behaviors in our children. what can we do together? So things like not allowing children in other people's homes, just to avoid they can come here and break things, or they can come here and do certain things. You know, you never know. So we agree in this estate, let's not allow that. Or if we do, then let the other
there
parents...
There needs to be an adult in the room.
Let the other parents know. Okay. Because you discover things like, I'm trying to train my children not to watch certain videos. But when they go to so-and-so's neighbor, TV for so such to avoid such things. So that stakeholder is sort of managed in a way. We may not get it 100%, but at
least there's expectation.
There's expectation. So it also comes with things like you can start a Bible study within your area for children within your child's reach. Could be their classmates in school. You know, the activities that they also involve themselves in. Again, you sort of keep on controlling and shaping that environment that your child is in, and the influence they get from their friends. So again, if you're speaking into their friends' lives, they'll equally transport this.
So as they grow older, get involved.
All right.
Know their friends. Invite them to your home. Observe their behavior. You'll pick certain things. You can begin to see certain things manifest when you spend more time with them. In 3 hours, if you spend time with them 3 hours, they can't lie anymore. You'll begin to see you'll begin to see certain things show up. Then you ask yourself, is this something that I really want for my child? You know, or how can I influence better for this child to ensure that they are being a good company for my child. So don't let it to chance.
Yes, so like what he had also spoke about developmental phases. So you find preteens or maybe teenagers begin to admire more of their friends and not than their parents. So you start early. So when they're preteens, you begin to find out who are their friends, and then you control that stakeholder speaking to their lives. Then also another one is their teacher, you know, because they spend a lot of hours and the teacher can really pick out a lot of behaviors in class. So be very intentional, visit the teacher. Don't just wait for the school planned session with the teacher. Go early, pop up anytime, have a conversation with the teacher. Hey, what are you
You'll
seeing
be
in my
shocked
child?
at the feedback you receive from those stakeholders. That helps you towards reinforcing or reinforcing positive behavior and undoing negative behavior.
And this can go to any person in any walks of life. So for example, like you say, the transport person, the security person at school, it could be the security person in your estate, it could be anyone around who can just begin to support you and help you.
So for example, I'll give you an example. You have a 12-year-old, he's receiving stuff from the gate, from outside. The security man is the one who is seeing. If you don't have a good relationship, you keep shouting at the security guy, they will just ignore you.
They will not even tell you.
They'll never
you don't even talk to them.
They'll never even talk to you. They'll never even bother with you. But if you have a very good relationship with them, but they'll tell you, boss, you know, I observed something. Your son is receiving some stuff from a certain gentleman with a rough hair in the estate. They keep meeting outside the gate. Anapokea. Just investigate. You know, such information, that's a very important stakeholder. And that information is to help you now to begin to investigate what could be going on. You understand?
And I will talk more about that, but there's something that you've raised. You've gotten such information. How do you then ensure that information is dealt with in a right way that does not help this, trigger this child to go into sort of, let me try and make it hidden a bit more so that my father doesn't get to know?
They will try, man.
They will do that. They'll do that. However, they'll do that. However, when you get that information, you don't ask your child directly. You are receiving a package from so-and-so with rough hair.
What is that package? And why are you receiving?
That's not wisdom. As a parent, the Bible says that you have to draw draw out the well, draw out the water from the well. Deep
waters are seated, secrets are seated in the heart of that child.
Yeah.
Your role as a parent is to
bring
draw
them
them
out.
out.
Yes.
And so you need to ask the right questions. You know, you need to investigate before you just say, you know, by the way, this is what we established. No, no.
Yeah.
And then you also don't want to scare the child and they close up.
Okay.
Because if they are very aware that this is where you're going,
It's going.
they just shut
Build a wall
down.
and that's it.
Yeah, I think in applying that wisdom as a parent, one is how you tackle it.
Yeah.
That's so how you're going to tackle it. You need to also create the right time and the right environment. So maybe when you just got that information, your emotions are up in the air. Okay? No. That's not the right time to have
Calm
a
down.
conversation.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Yes.
Prepare the right environment to have a discussion with this particular child.
Yes.
So that you were able to draw that
information.
Then ask the right
Questions.
Yeah.
And by the time you're going there, you're also prepared as a thing. You've done your own research. You have your own facts.
Yes.
Okay? Then you also go in a very approachable way whereby you're not just accusing. You're beginning to ask.
Yeah.
So what happens in the evenings?
What do you do?
Yes. Just again the way Jesus, God was asking Adam.
What happened?
What happened?
Where were
It's not
you?
that God did
Where
not
were you?
Yes.
He didn't say you hid, you ate the fruit.
Have you eaten that fruit I told you not to eat?
God knew. God
Yes.
knew. He knew.
But he wanted
But he
it to
asked
come
him,
out from
Where
them.
were you? I hid because I discovered I was not naked. Who told you you are naked? You understand?
Yes.
That draws the
information.
the information.
So that tap
Yes.
is what we need to use as parents. So what? And then let it come out from the
them.
child. Then you begin to help them to realize the wrongdoing is. I mean, you're helping them to realize that it's them who are allowing this problem to
happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Then that
because
way-
you have facts, that will help you now to land the message, you know,
Yes.
in the right way.
Okay. Yeah.
To just
Target it.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can even use, you know, abstract examples to say, you see, for example, when you're driving on the road, yeah, you see those cameras, they see our cars. You know, if you stall, that car, the police can actually follow you. They can see where you're going, you know. So it shows you that, you know, nothing is in the
hidden.
secret.
Yes.
You understand? Sort of, you haven't told them
That it,
no, I have eyes on you.
I know.
I have eyes on you. But you're
You're
telling
sort of bringing
them,
them that, okay,
you're
but
giving
maybe
them
what
the
I did.
perspective that, you know, you can't do anything that cannot be discovered.
Yeah.
You understand?
And then you also have to hide. Sometimes, in some cases, you have to hide the source.
Yes.
I mean,
protect
the
protect
privacy
the,
of-
your-
yes,
You
the
always
source.
have to
of
protect
your-
it.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not that you
yes,
come
yes.
and, you know, the soldier has told
Yes.
me that you've been receiving
Exactly,
things.
yeah. So again, it's just the how.
Okay. All right. And now let's come back to now the community that we were talking about, that you're building, the stakeholders around your child. As they're young, that's you mentioned, is when you can mold and control the people around them. What if it is a community that now you're in, maybe it's your neighborhood or it's a school or wherever, maybe it's a church that you're in, and you constantly feel that you've tried to correct the behavior that is being picked from this community and you cannot control it. And instead of it getting better, it is becoming worse. What are some of the radical things that you need to employ as a parent to ensure that now this is not something that will continue to the detriment of the future of your child? Yeah.
And you raise a very important point, Makori. And I think it's indeed radical. You might have to actually become radical.
Yeah.
One of the ways we normally ask the question: do you child-proof the world, or you world-proof the child?
Yes.
You need to plant the right values in your child so that they can be able to make the decisions. Yeah. But if the environment is too toxic, I think you have an option as a parent, unless you are the owner of that estate, and therefore you cannot
Kick
move
people out.
And in such a case, then you have a reason to kick out everybody in that estate and admit new tenants.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
So you have options. You have options as a parent when you find that the environment is absolutely not working. Even when I instill the right values, consistently they are being eroded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can only do it up to a certain level.
Yes.
If the forces are too strong, you can join them. You understand? So in such instances, you might choose to move, and go to another estate.
Yeah.
If it's a child in school,
you can move them to a different school.
To a different school.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's a radical
Decision. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you need to prepare your child. They need to understand, by the way, we are making this radical decision because of this and becoming.
And because we are protecting you.
And what you're saying has just reminded me, it's really happening, for example, in secondary school.
Yeah.
I've had quite a number of conversations where a child says, hey, in fact, it's a child who says, I can't study in this school.
Yes.
Please, the environment needs to be changed. So change.
And you need to listen as a
and
parent.
you do it. Or it's the other way. You begin to see this behavior and I can't change the school. So what do you do?
So let's go to a different school.
Transform.
All right.
So it's possible.
Okay. So it's something that you can be able to do.
Yeah.
We're coming to a close of this discussion, but let me ask this. You as a parent, you have done everything there is to do. You've instructed your child, you've disciplined them, you've given them kiboko, but they've refused. They've gotten to a space, maybe as they're going into their teenagehood, as they're going into their adulthood, they decided, you know what, I'm rebelling nonetheless. You've prayed for them, you've talked to them, you spent time with them, but they have done it. And some parents are in that space where they're thinking, okay, I failed as a parent. But it's not really that they were not present for their children. They were not instructing them. They were not disciplining them. But they did not. The children, they're human, so to speak, and they can make decisions of their own. And they've decided, you know what? What my parent is telling me is, I don't think it's cool. I don't want it. And they've made their own decisions too. Such parents, is there something that they could have done different? Is there something that they missed along the way? Or that is eating them down, making them very guilty? Or are they freed from that guilt because they did what they could have done as parents?
I think you started by saying they did what they needed to do.
Yes.
And the child is turning out to make alternative choices.
Yeah.
We learned something yesterday from our bishop, and he said, when your children are young, you tell them about God. Train up a child in the way they should go. And when they grow up, they will never depart from it. That's the word of God. So you tell them about God consistently. You drum it in. The Bible says, write these things in the doorframes of your house. Teach them to your children so that they whenever they walk, whenever they are going in, whenever they are going out, write them somewhere. Scriptures. Teach your children the Bible. But when they grow up, you take them to God.
You tell God about
You tell God about them.
Okay.
So when they are young, you tell them about God. But when they are older, you tell God about the children.
Meaning now
Meaning that there is nothing much you can do apart from praying for your children. There is no parent who does not wish the best for their children.
Yeah.
And even when they are turning, they're making the right choices, so to speak.
Yes.
Sometimes as a parent, you feel like there is more
they could
do.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
And you're like, I wish I could control and make this decision for them.
Yes.
However, at that point, you've empowered them and they're in a space where they need to make these decisions, make mistakes and learn from the mistakes.
Yeah.
And I believe even you as an individual, you have learned from the mistakes that you have made. At that point, as a parent, you just need to commit them to God in prayer.
Yeah.
But when they are young, do your best as a parent to train them in the ways of the Lord.
Yeah.
Because that is very a very strong seed that will never depart from them. They will go make radical decisions.
But they will know that it is in
They
them.
will know it is in them. They will know that this is the right, and one day, the Bible says they will never depart from it. Watarudi tu.
Watarudi kwa hiyo
Watarudi.
njia.
So my encouragement to such a parent would be, you know what? Just take them to God in prayer. Tell God about the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think the issue, as you're saying again, is don't blame yourself.
All right.
Yeah. Sometimes, as human beings, we carry things that we cannot carry. That is Jesus Christ's cross. We cannot bear it. So if you know you did what you needed to have done, and maybe at a point, maybe you have certain mistakes you didn't do, don't kill yourself. Again, take them to God.
Take it to the Lord in prayer and talk to God about the children.
Yes.
Parents here watching and they're thinking, wow, I wish I had known these things when my children were below 5 or below 10. I've lost enough time. Is it too late for such parents? Is there something that they could do? I mean, as we close this conversation.
I'd say it's never too late. If there's a window of 2 days, use it. If there's a window of 1 day before that child crosses over to the other line, use it. And never give up on God. God can change situations that are unimaginable. So, I mean, have faith in God and take some action on anything that you can be able to do to remedy the situation. Don't think that it's too late for you to start. Start from where you are. And ask God to walk with you in this journey. I believe and I know that God is able to transform even the worst of situations.
That's true.
So it's never too late.
Never.
The best time would have been then.
Yes.
But this is the second best time.
Yes. And again, in God's world, He exists in the time and with the time. So He can change 1,000 years to a minute. He can change a minute to 1,000 years. So we cannot underestimate the power that God has. So it's never
too late. All right. So there's hope.
There is hope. There is hope.
We can never lose hope.
That's true.
All right.
And
Thanks.
there are many stories out there. I mean, you'll hear maybe a parent who was absent and they come to the child's life. And things begin to just change. So there's a lot of hope.
All right. All right. So I think we need to bring this to a close.
Yes.
Thanks so much for the time and the nuggets of wisdom that you've shared on this platform. And you, as part of the conversation, there is something you mentioned that you've written a book on.
Yes.
On this.
Yes.
What book is that? Can you share with those who are watching us at this point?
All right. So I've written a book. The book is called Molding a Disciple, The Case for Parental Discipline. It really focuses on the subject of discipline. It's a book that's designed like a study guide. So every chapter has some questions for reflection to help you in your personal journey as a parent as you work towards your parenting journey. So I've tackled topics in the different chapters. For example, a child belongs to the village. What is discipline? Stages of discipline. Rod or no rod. Parental influence. What does that really do to your child? Building character in your child and shepherding the heart of your child. And that is about discipleship, which is very foundational for us as Christians, that you need to help your child to become a disciple of Christ.
All right. How can they get the book?
The book is available on Amazon. It's available on Naivas supermarkets. It's available on CLC Kenya. When you go there, they have the book. It's available in Kibanga bookshops and many other bookstores in this country.
All right. So what's the cost implication?
The cost is 1,000 shillings only.
Only.
And you just get a tool that will empower you to support you in the journey of your parenting.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You can also hit my inbox
Yes.
on Facebook, and
Yes.
I'll be able to make it available to you.
All right, and you can also actually just drop us an email and find out how you can access it, and we can connect you to get that book.
Yes.
So asante sana for getting the time and just spending it with us and the couples that are watching from home or wherever they are.
Yep.
And really we've learned a lot as far as discipline is concerned and parenting, especially training, instructing, and just raising the future leaders and whatnot. I mean, our children, the people will be seated on this side and tomorrow, and we want them to be sharing what we are sharing and even better.
Yep.
Because we've raised them well.
On Takeout this week, how have you been going about the issue of disciplining your children? What lessons can you apply in your parenting? Do you have values that you want your children to uphold? How are you going about instilling these values in your children? Take time and discuss through these issues, and let's meet again in our next episode. This is #ForBetterForWorse.
We come to the close, and thank you so much for watching and constantly coming back to learn from this. Our desire is that your marriage would work, and we know that parenting can take a toll on marriages, and it is a 24/7 duty. The moment, like our panelists were saying, that you can choose to become a parent, but you cannot choose to parent. So it's really important for us to, when we've decided that we're becoming parents, it's a task that we have with us for the rest of our lives, whether they are infants or they are teenagers or they are adults or they are no longer in the nest as they speak. So what do you need to do to get it right as a parent? So we're here. We'll offer the support that you need. We can connect you to the right people who can walk with you if you're struggling in one area or another as far as your parenting journey is concerned. Reach out to us. The contacts are running on the screen as we speak. Just drop us an email, tell us what your situation is and what you need us to help you with, and we would be there. We would support you, because our desire is to see that your marriage is thriving to the glory of God. Thank you again for watching. We'd encourage you to subscribe if you've not already subscribed, and share this. Get 10 of your friends to also subscribe and share to 10 of their friends, so that this message can reach as many as possible, so that we can impact the nations for Christ. God bless you, and see you again next week. My name is Fred Makori, and this has been #ForBetterForWorse.
For better or for us, no matter what is thrown at us, together we will be stronger.
We'll take it a day at a time. There ain't no blueprint for this love. Namola, he'll make us stronger. I promise I am yours. From the first day, nearly apart. It's you that I'll choose in all seasons, Nina apart.
For better, for worse, when everything